A search is underway right now in the Philippines for a Vermonter living in the southern part of the country. Local authorities in that area say 26-year-old Eliot Eastman has been kidnapped.
Mindanao, Philippines, October 17th, 2024. In the quiet, remote seaside town of Sibuco in Zamboanga del Norte, a chilling event shattered the calm of everyday life. This peaceful fishing village, tucked along the southern Philippine coastline, had become home to American YouTuber Eliot Eastman, who lived there with his Filipino wife, blending in with the local community. Eliot was known among neighbors as kind and curious, someone who loved documenting cultural life, the coastal landscapes, and the warmth of the people. But on that fateful afternoon, the calm was broken by a brutal and calculated act of violence that stunned not only the small town, but eventually gripped the global internet community.
What's up, you guys? Today we are celebrating Clarissa's birthday.
As the sun began to lower behind the jungle-covered hills, a group of armed men arrived by land, dressed in what appeared to be legitimate police uniforms. The villagers watched, confused and frightened, as the so-called authorities marched straight toward Eliot's modest home overlooking the sea. But this was no ordinary police operation. These were imposters. Masked, heavily armed, and merciless in their intent, they stormed the property with military precision, cornering Eliot inside. A struggle broke out. Eliot fought back, refusing to be taken without reason, but he was shot, critically wounded, and dragged out of his home. His screams echoed across the water as he was thrown into a waiting motorboat. The roar of the engine signaled the beginning of a terrifying journey. Locals stood helplessly on the shore as the boat vanished into the open stretch of the Sulu Sea, heading toward unknown territory. That was the last time anyone saw Eliot Eastman. In mere minutes, the vibrant life of a man who had shared stories, smiles, and videos from a distant paradise was wiped off the map. What followed was a confusing and slow-moving investigation. Authorities struggled to identify the abductors. Were they insurgents? Pirates? Was Eliot targeted for ransom, revenge, or something more sinister? As local police, the Philippine military, and even U.S. embassy officials began probing into the incident, more disturbing questions emerged. Why were there no demands?
Well, Eliot Eastman originally hails from Heinsberg, Lauren, according to the Manila Bulletin. That's an English-language newspaper in the capital of the Philippines.
Why was his online presence suddenly wiped clean days later? Why had Eliot mentioned fears of being followed just weeks before? Today, we piece together the unsettling timeline of Eliot Eastman's final days, explore the haunting clues he left behind, and confront the silence that still surrounds his disappearance. In a region marked by beauty and danger, Eliot's vanishing stands as a chilling reminder of how quickly paradise can become a prison, and how one man's story can simply end without warning, without reason, and without justice. Eliot O'Neill Eastman, just 26 years old, came from the small wooded landscapes of Vermont, a quiet American upbringing that seemed worlds away from the place where his story would end. Drawn by love and a sense of adventure, Eliot relocated to the Philippines, where he married a local woman and chose to settle in the remote seaside town of Sibuco, Zamboanga del Norte. For many, it would have been an unconventional decision, even risky, but for Eliot, it was a fresh start, a place where he could embrace a new culture, create a home, and tell his story to the world. Through his YouTube channel, where he had gathered around 5,100 loyal subscribers, Eliot documented his life as what he proudly called the first and only foreigner to ever settle in this forgotten corner of Mindanao. His content was modest and honest, clips of daily life, conversations with locals, scenic shots of the coast, and reflections on adjusting to a drastically different lifestyle. But beneath the surface of his peaceful vlogs, a sense of unease occasionally surfaced. Eliot wasn't naive. He openly referred to the area as a red zone, acknowledging the very real dangers of living in a region with a long history of political unrest, insurgent activity, and violent abductions. Still, he stayed. He seemed both proud and defiant. He wanted more than views. He wanted to belong. He wanted to show that life outside the Western comfort zone was not only possible, but fulfilling. Yet, this hope was tragically undercut by the danger he quietly feared. His final upload came on October 15th, just 2 days. On October 17th, 4 men in black, armed with M16s and posing as police officers, broke into Eliot's home late that afternoon. A witness reported he tried to flee, shooting him in the leg and abdomen during the struggle. He was taken onto a motorized banca and pulled out into open waters. Despite a frantic search by military, police, and the FBI, Eliot was nowhere to be found. In early December, police revealed a suspect's confession. Eliot succumbed to his wounds aboard the boat and was thrown into the sea reports cite 2 gunshot wounds, thigh and abdomen, as the cause of death. Despite an extensive search, his body hasn't been recovered, though Philippine National Police vowed to keep looking and to hold his killers accountable. In the weeks following Eliot Eastman's abduction, law enforcement agencies launched a sweeping manhunt across the region, pulling together resources from local police, the Philippine National Police Special Action Force, and military intelligence units. Their efforts slowly began to produce results. Several suspects were arrested, revealing a complex and dangerous web behind the operation. Then, in November 2024, a dramatic breakthrough occurred. In a tense nighttime raid, authorities located a suspected safe house near the Zamboanga Peninsula. A firefight broke out. By the end of the gun battle, 3 suspects were dead, killed during the exchange of gunfire with police. Among the items recovered in the operation was a crucial piece of evidence: the very boat used in Eliot's abduction, a grim, silent witness to the crime. The vessel, abandoned and partially hidden, offered forensic clues that helped confirm the group's connection to the kidnapping. Meanwhile, other suspects were taken into custody alive, and several of them are reportedly cooperating with investigators, providing names, locations, and context that shed light on the motive behind the attack. What's especially chilling is what the investigation did not uncover. Despite initial fears, there appeared to be no direct connection to Islamist separatist groups, such as Abu Sayyaf, which has long been active in the region and known for brutal kidnappings of foreigners. Instead, authorities now believe the crime was more opportunistic than ideological, a calculated attempt to abduct a foreign national for ransom, leveraging Eliot's outsider status and visibility online. Some investigators have also floated the possibility of a personal motive, potentially involving a local dispute or jealousy related to his marriage or growing YouTube presence. But in the absence of a ransom demand or a public statement from the perpetrators, in a post months before his disappearance, Eliot admitted he feared for his safety in Mindanao. Red zone warnings from locals and the U.S. State Department were ignored. Online voices suggest he may have overplayed his security or offended locals with careless content. Regardless, there is no justification for what happened to him. One Redditor poignantly put it, "Nobody deserves to be murdered, especially in that way." Eliot Eastman's story became a warning. A 26-year-old who chose adventure in an unpredictable place, a foreigner in a small community, a YouTuber who paid the ultimate price for living on the edge. His case underscores sobering truths. Even low-profile foreigners are visible in remote zones. Kidnappers can pose as law enforcement or exploit trust. Wounding and disposal at sea leaves investigation and closure open-ended. To travelers and content creators, research deeply, respect local warnings, and weigh visibility against safety. Share your experiences, but never at the cost of your well-being. If you found this story meaningful, please like and subscribe for more real-world narratives, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's remember Eliot, not just as a victim, but as a person who chased his dreams abroad.